Yeah, I'm going to be leaving at the end of the month, so I'm not too jealous.
Nice.
How's Pretzel?
She's gone. I was just I was just thinking back, like from our first session till now. I'm like, I feel like, oh my god, we've made leaps and bounds. It's I yeah. I can't even think. I can't even imagine what I was like previously
Sure.
when I was struggling, and I'm like, oh, get me out of this. But
Yeah.
I don't know if Maddie told you, but I I actually kept her in her playpen until very recently.
Okay.
And so I think I misheard you saying, "Oh, keep her in the playpen till like up to a year after I got her."
Hmm.
And Maddie was like, "No, that's the crate." I'm like, "You should, you should at some point transition her to like your apartment,
Right.
and you need to correct her. You know, you just gotta do it."
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, I have no more playpen in my apartment,
Oh, that's nice. Must be more spacious now.
which is liberating. I've got a couple of accidents, but oh
Sure.
well.
Yeah. No, that's correct. Yeah. So crate is for a year, right? As long as you need it.
Yeah.
Um, but at some point, you want to acclimate your puppy, of course, to the apartment or the your space. Um, Otherwise, if you do it later, it's going to be harder.
Yeah. And the
Right?
transition was amazingly smooth, I want to
Good.
say. I don't know if it's because like she's used to correction already, she's
Hmm.
used to like limited space.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, it's been okay, I don't want to jinx it, but it's been
Sure.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think well, I was on Mandy's live session
Yeah.
yesterday.
Yeah.
So
Did
I
I
think
crash?
it's gonna save, yeah, which is awesome because I'm gonna save you a lot of questions today.
Okay. Sure.
I I don't have many more questions, to be honest.
Okay.
A lot of it was addressed yesterday.
Okay.
I think what two main questions I have. One is kind of when the best time is,
Mhm.
considering like we won't be able to train in a park, because I know that's where that's the most level of distraction.
Correct.
And like the true test for Pretzel really is anything that's moving, so like anything that has wheels, so bicycles, luggages, skateboards, those are the things that she like lunges at.
Oh, okay. Sure. Like react, like barking or just lunges?
uh Both, but
Okay.
more of lunging.
Okay.
Um, so will the train, if we do it now, I'm assuming we're gonna have to do it indoors. Um, will it be as effective as when we train outdoors? That's the first question. And second question is really more of like, what do you not use e-collar for?
Oh, okay. Sure. So, yeah. So we can. So we ideally, we were training at Oz Park during the summer
Yeah.
because it was so. It's the busiest park in Chicago. So it's like, well, if your dog will listen at the park, everywhere else shouldn't be a problem,
Right.
right? Because most trainers, including myself, they'll train you in a quiet room, but then the owner has a hard time getting the dog to listen outside.
Yep.
And it's more so because of how it's explained or the method that they're using. So if they're only using food, it's not going to work. If they're only using like the gentle lead or anything, it's better, but at some point, it's not going to work, right?
Right.
E-collar is the only tool, in my opinion, that will work if the owner knows how to use it correctly, in my opinion. Okay.
Right.
So we have clients, most of our clients move to the facility now. Only a few of them still, I think I had one client who did almost all his classes at Oz Park, even though it was colder. I have another client that did it once there, but then switched back to over here because I think it was too cold for her. And then I have another client that has to do it at Oz Park because she doesn't have a car and she lives right next to Oz Park.
Right.
So, but everybody else has moved to the facility now, and they're doing just fine because of how the tool works. So with the e-collar, there's different ranges. It goes 0 to 127 in increments of 1.
Right.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it becomes more intense.
Right.
So if the dog's number at my facility is 25, which is average, and there's nothing going on, then when they're in their neighborhood, the number might be like 45 because it's more distracting.
Right.
So as long as the owner is okay with going higher, there's no problems. That's the drawback to e-collar, is that sometimes the owner feels bad going higher. So then they don't do it, which then makes it not effective.
Right.
Okay.
Have you tested all levels of?
Yeah, I've had the highest powered
on
collar
you?
maxed out on my neck. Yeah, it's very
Okay.
uncomfortable.
But it's not painful.
I would say it can become painful. It's discomfort the higher you go. Okay. So if I were to feel it, like it's literally your muscle just does, it just does this. Okay.
Right.
But the higher it goes, the more uncomfortable it becomes. Right. So to give you an example, have you seen those videos where they recreate labor contraction pains in men? Have I told you about this before?
No, you haven't, but I have seen those. Yeah.
Okay. That machine is the same thing as an e-collar. Okay.
I've been trying to Google and research, like what exactly do you describe that technology? Like, it's not electricity.
It's electric, but not electricity is how I phrase it. Because there's a slight current that's centralized.
Okay.
Right? So all it would move, if I put it on my neck, that's all it would move is right here. Nothing anywhere else.
Right.
Electricity goes from one point to another point.
Got it.
Okay. So like if you like stuck your finger in an outlet and was like holding on something metal, it would go straight through.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yep. Yep.
So it's not like a taser. It's not like sticking your finger in an outlet. It's not like grabbing an electric wire, because that's just, electrocution. It's a centralized current that only affects the area that it's making contact with.
Got it.
So in the labor contraction videos with men, they only feel it in their stomach region.
Right.
And I'm sure they're yelling in pain because labor contractions are painful. Right. So it's the intensity of the contraction that becomes painful. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So the higher we go, the more uncomfortable it does become. So then, logically speaking, when they use this technology on humans, normally, not like those videos, like like if you went to the chiropractor and your back was like really stiff, they would potentially put the machine on your back to move your muscles to relax them.
Yep.
Okay. But you would tell them when it's too much, when it's too uncomfortable, and then they would lower it, and then they'll say, "How does that feel?" And you'll say, "Oh, that's better. I can deal with that." And then they let the machine do its work. It's the same for dogs. We start low and we work our way up, and the dog tells us what's too high and what's too low. So if the dog is yelping, right, probably too high.
Right.
Okay. If the dog's not listening and like all over the place, too low. So, how the dog responds tells us when we're at the appropriate number. If you go to my YouTube channel and you watch any lesson 1 video, because it's brand new to everybody. The dog and the owner, they don't know what they're doing, and you can just see how we work through the process. My 8-pound Chihuahua is trained on e-collar. His number and his is different, but his number is 20. Anything higher than 20 is too much, but he'll listen to 20 perfectly, right? But like,
regardless of how much distraction.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Okay.
You can. I'll make a note, but I have a video. I used to walk all my dogs off leash through the South Loop, Chicago, all the time. I used to have
you
3 or
mentioned
4
it
dogs.
yesterday.
Huh?
Yeah, you mentioned it yesterday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I used to live down in the South Loop. So I used to do that every day, every morning for about an hour, hour and a half. My dogs would walk off leash with me through the park. So it's perfectly safe to use, especially with the smaller dogs, because so food isn't going to work.
Yep.
There's prong collar, which is the spiky looking one, and they make them for small dogs. But the problem is when you pull on the collar, since they're small, they tend to spin, right? Because if you have to give a firm correction, you're going to move. You know, how big is she? 8 pounds to 10, 12?
She's 10, 11.
10, 11? Yeah. Like if you correct her firmly, she's probably going to like go spinning.
Yeah.
Because that's what used to happen to my Chihuahua, because he used to be dog aggressive. He would lunge and bark and try to bite dogs. And I would correct him with the prong collar and he would go spinning, but then he'd go back to lunging and barking at the dogs.
Right.
You know, and then people see you correcting your dog and your dog is spinning, and then they start yelling at you because they're being mean, right? So the e-collar, we don't get any of that physicality.
Right.
You know, so that's what makes it, especially for small dogs, much gentler. The other thing you want to think about is just like your exposure to risk. Okay. If your life with Pretzel is you walk with her on a leash always, she's never off leash in an unenclosed area, and you only let her off leash like at the dog park, right? And it's fenced in. Your exposure to risk is very low. Meaning, you know, if I have someone who goes to the park every day, lets their dog off leash at Oz Park, right? There's no fence. If something happens like a firework or a dog fight or a dog chasing a squirrel and all the dogs decide to chase it, you're exposing yourself to risk. Your exposure to risk is greater because you're constantly in an environment where your dog could potentially run away. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
If your dog is always on a leash and only off leash in a fenced area, she would have to pull the leash out your hand or sneak out the fence before you would be exposed to a risk. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why I ask people, like it comes down to what you're wanting and what your life looks like with your dog. But you know, but it can happen. Like I did have a client who was walking their dog and like a bike crashed right behind them when they were walking on the sidewalk, and it scared the dog, and the dog jumped up, hit the ground, and ran and yanked the leash up the owner's hand because he had his kid in a stroller, and then the dog took off, and he's like I tried to chase the dog, but I had the stroller. I can't leave the stroller, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And so Jesse, you don't need to convince me of I'm doing the e-collar training. One, Pretzel, she's extremely sociable. Two, she's extremely excitable when it comes to anything that's moving.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not that I've trained her, she's zero recall now. And she loves to explore. So like when I bring her to the park, there was only one fenced in dog park by me, and it's all concrete. And it's small. It has a ton of big dogs, which she does fine. But where she loves, it's really on grass. And that's the rest of the park, which is not fenced in. The dog park that is, well, actually is not technically a dog park. The park that's closest to me across the street isn't fenced in either.
Gotcha.
And so like I would love to be able to bring her there. There are a ton of dogs that are off leash in that park that's not fenced in. And she's constantly, she's kind of like the only one with the rare few dogs that go to that park with a leash on. And it's hard for her to just explore there just because there's so many dogs off leash. And yeah.
What's your neighborhood?
Technically West Loop.
Okay.
But I'm more towards Greektown.
Sure. Are you by the Halstead area?
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to figure out where this dog park is.
You know St. Patrick's Church?
I think I've seen it.
Just right across. It's not a big one.
Okay.
It's called Heritage Park, I think. It's a very small one, but it's not fenced in.
Yeah, Heritage Park sounds familiar. I think I've been there before.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Um, so the issue with small dogs and the e-collar is just contact,
Right.
meaning, because there's the two probes that push against the neck because their
Yeah.
necks are so small.
Yeah.
That's like the biggest issue. So what I would, and I'm not a big fan because they make collars small for dogs pretzel size,
Yeah.
but the dial, it's not exact, it's estimate.
Okay.
Whereas with the bigger size, it's just slightly bigger. It's an LED screen. So you get exact
You see the
numbers.
number, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not that much bigger of a size difference. They've improved a lot over the past few years because they used to be like big old boxes, even
Right.
for the small dogs. Um, so what I would probably do is, I mean, because you want to think like even if you started training now, you got to think that you would be training in the winter, in the cold, right? Regardless if you're inside or outside, like at some point your training would go outside, right?
Yep.
Every time you walk pretzel, you would essentially be training and stuff. So I always bring this up to people because they come in going, yeah, we're gonna train, and I go, but it's winter,
Yep.
and they go like, no, we're gonna train, and I'm like, but it's winter, and then sure enough, they usually don't train. Okay. They'll start the training, but then they're like, yeah, we didn't train that much because it was too cold, it was too snowy, this and that. So what I typically recommend is because there's no what's the word? No such thing as too late. Okay. I've trained dogs. I have a dog that I just saw yesterday. It's 4 or 5 years old. The lady just rescued. I've trained dogs as old as
Yep.
8 to 12 years old. Doesn't matter. Um,
I'm
if
not in a hurry either.
Yeah, I would wait till
So,
the spring when things warm up, because then once winter comes around, she'd already be trained and you would just be doing what you normally do and not out there for an hour trying to train with her. You know what I'm
right.
saying?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's no time limit on that. And we would be able to work back at Oz Park again, where you would have plenty of distraction and you would get the most out of it.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Um, what was your other question? I'm sorry. You
What
had
do
a second
you
one.
not use the e-collar for?
Oh, so I only use it for functional obedience.
Okay.
Okay, so sit, stay, down, come, place, heel. Okay, those are the 6 most common commands that I call them the family pet commands. There's plenty more that we could teach with e-collar. Like right now, I'm teaching a young man, his dog, how to walk backwards.
Okay.
Um, he has a Doberman, and he wants him to be like the best.
Okay.
So he's learning a lot of stuff with e-collar that I wouldn't teach the average client.
Right. Right.
Um, I wouldn't use it for like paw, rollover, cute stuff, fun stuff, sit pretty, doesn't matter. Those are tricks. We use e-collar for things that we need to be functional. Okay.
Okay.
So if you go to a restaurant and you tell, Pretzel to like lay down and not move for the next 2 hours, we want her to not move for 2 hours.
Right.
When I say come, I don't care if she's playing or chasing squirrels or, running or whatever, she's going to come immediately. So it has to be functional. That's where e-collar comes in. Everything else is it's just fun stuff.
And so, what happens when she's off leash, and a dog attacks her?
Mm.
How does e-collar come in, and then how do you?
It would help pull her out, like so. For example, because there's the dog attacking Pretzel,
Right.
and if the dog actively has Pretzel, like you want to think in its mouth,
Right.
e-collar's not going to help.
Right.
Uh, you'd have to jump in.
Right.
Okay. But I had a client's dog at Oz Park. They were playing fetch, and her dog and another dog went for the ball at the same time. And right when that happened, they looked up and they just started to get in a fight. And she had to max out the collar, and she hit the button, and her dog pulled away immediately.
Okay.
The fight never escalated past the initial blow up because she was able to remove her dog right away. I had another client's dog, which is I posted on my Instagram, where her dog the lady had said, "Can our dog say hi?" And she said, "Sure," because her dog was friendly. I trained the dog. Her dog went to say hi, and then the other lady's dog went to attack her dog.
Right.
So she called her dog and pulled him out before anything happened. You know, so if there's something about to happen, or let's say there's a fight and Pretzel's like, "What's going on?" Right? You can prevent her by pulling her back. But if a dog were to actively have Pretzel, you'd have to jump in
Got
my
it.
opinion. Not saying that you
Okay.
have to, but in my opinion, I would jump in and protect my dog.
Right.
So,
Okay. Got it.
mhm.
Um, so between now and when we start e-collar training, is there anything that I can do to prep her so that that training goes smoother?
The only thing I would do is because for Pretzel, for small dogs, they typically don't learn all 6 commands. So I said it was sit, stay, down, come, place, heel, right?
Right.
Those are the 6. With small dogs, I typically only cover heel, come when I call you, and place. And places go to your bed. The reason why I only do those 3, unless the owner wants to do more, is because they're so small. So like trying to get them to sit by your side and lay down, like you're constantly down here. Okay. So it's usually easier for the owner just to limit, like, what we teach. If you want to learn them, I'll teach them, no problem. But it's almost always a problem because the owner's like all the way down here trying to work with the dog. Right. Crap, I lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
What can I do to prep her?
Oh, the prepper. I actually prefer it if the dog doesn't know anything.
Okay.
The
Well,
only
I
thing
haven't been training her on anything actually.
So the only thing I would suggest that you do is
Mhm.
every time you call Pretzel, uh, give her a treat.
Okay.
Anytime you say Pretzel come or Pretzel and she comes to you, just give her a piece of treat as,
Okay.
as much as you can. Okay. Because that's the most important command. Okay.
Her
That's the
recognizing
one,
her name,
her recognizing her name and coming to you.
coming. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. That, I would say anytime you call her, just give her a little treat. Doesn't have to be big. Give her a little treat. Good girl. Never scold her, even if she's like running away and she doesn't like come right away and it takes a long time, because then she's going to think when you call her, you're going to scold her.
Right.
Okay. We don't want her to think that. So it's always positive. We do always praise, because when I work with dogs that have already been trained, you have to do more or work harder to use the e-collar to train them.
Because they have to unlearn stuff.
They already
They
have they
learn.
already have an idea. So the dog is already ahead of you.
Right.
So then we have to do things that are technically unfair to get the collar, because we have to layer in the collar. She
Yep.
has to feel this to understand what's it about. So I would just say give her treats every time you call her. And if anything, like, what does she walk on? Is she like on a gentle
Gentle
leader?
leader.
Yep. Okay.
Still
That's
is.
fine for now. Is
Yeah.
she doing fine with you with that?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not throughout the day. It's it's usually at the beginning of the day when like she has a ton of energy and like she wants to go to the park. Like she'll be pulling on the gentle leader.
Sure, sure,
But
sure.
once she's done at the park, like she has expends all her energy, like she walks perfectly.
hmm Yeah, she's tired. Yeah. So that's fine for now. It's not gonna, if you notice anything behaviorally, like let's say when you said when she lunges at the bikes or the
Yep.
strollers and stuff, just pull up. Okay. Whenever she does that, just pull straight up, and
Okay.
it'll stop her, because the head goes like this, and then you can just, until she relaxes, and then you can relax. Um, but with the e-collar, it will fix that problem.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions?
Um, I don't think I have any more. Um, so should I wait to buy the collar?
Yeah. You don't need it now.
Okay.
Yeah. If anything, what we'll do is, because I've been thinking about carrying them again, because I don't sell them. I was just telling people to go to Amazon, but I might buy some. And then what we can do is after the holidays, whenever you drop her off for daycare, I'll ask one of my staff members to test out different collars to see
Sure.
what would work best for her.
Okay.
So
But
then
it's a doctoral one, right?
I use dog truck, correct? Yeah.
Okay.
And then they would once you're ready to start, I'll tell you like, oh, this is the one we recommend because we already tried it, and because I'm just worried about contact because she's tiny and fluffy. So like Pomeranians are really hard to work with
Okay.
because they're so fluffy and they're so dense with the coat, and the collar is like small and stuff. So
Right.
yeah,
Okay. I was just looking at doctor's website. Now they have the IQ Mini. I don't know if you've seen it.
it's very small.
But is that the dial which
It's
you
the
refer
it's the
to?
dial one, yeah. So it's nice because
Oh,
it's can you see that
yeah,
on
yeah.
yeah, whereas the other one is an LED screen.
Right.
um
Okay.
and I've used the mini or whatever it is called. I've trained a couple of Yorkies with it, and it's a good collar. It's just I like having exact numbers.
Right.
But the one I would most likely recommend for you is the Dogtra 280C.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw that too.
Yeah, so that's like
Yep.
it's a little bit bigger. It's not that huge of a difference. Um, but if you want to, just take a look at it, do your research and stuff. And then because I have the Dogtra IQ,
Right.
that's the one. That's the one that was before the Mini. So we could try that. That's the one I train my Chihuahua on. And then we have clients that have the 280C. So if they ever come in and we have Pretzel, we'll just try it out to see what works best for her.
Okay.
The only
Because
real
I think the 280C and the Mini is the only one that
yeah,
uh
the other ones are way too big.
goes for like smaller dogs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Otherwise, I mean, she's come a long way here. She used to be a little barky when she first came. Now she's like settles in and she's calm and she waits for her time to play and stuff. So
Do you still think she's like in general still a nervous dog?
no, she's getting better.
Okay.
Yeah, well, once we come, like once springtime and summertime comes around, and we start doing the pack walks again, we'll start to we'll see more because that's where like we have another dog that comes. His name's Bill Murray. He's the bulldog puppy.
Yeah.
And when we took him for a walk, he was very nervous. So then we asked the owners, and the owners weren't walking him. And we were like, "You need to walk your dog because we can tell like he's not been exposed. He's very nervous."
Right.
So, but no, I think she's doing good. She's opened up. She's not like most puppies on the first few days are kind of timid and like quiet, but then they like start to play and get used to the structure and seeing dogs play and being quiet and stuff. She's doing good.
Good. Um, just curious, like you guys have like evaluation day for various dogs that I keep seeing on.
Oh, sure.
What is that?
So
This
for
is just
dogs,
making curious.
no, for dogs that we don't know, um, uh, we put them through an evaluation process because since we don't know them,
Right.
we have to build a relationship so that because most places they'll take your dog and they'll say friendly and you'll say yes and they go okay and they throw them in a room with 20 dogs and it's too stressful. So we do the first day. It's just we walk the dogs. They get used to us.
Oh, got it.
The
Okay.
second day they come. We do more of that, and then we start to walk them with other dogs. The third day we pair them one on one, and
Okay.
then to see who they like, who they don't like, and then we ease them into the groups. Puppies, I typically would just put them in because they need to learn to recover.
Right.
Right. Whereas adult dogs, if they've already got issues, they already got issues, and if they're social, they're social. But puppies, like like with Pretzel, Bill Murray, Elvis, like all these other puppies that we've gotten, the first day they're usually like really like timid and just like, what do I do? But we do it for them because it helps them learn how to recover from stress.
Yep.
Which
Okay.
reminds me, you didn't do an evaluation for Pretzel, right? Because you did Puppy Head Start,
I did puppy head start.
right? So you
Yeah.
didn't do an evaluation, correct?
Not that I
Yeah, I don't
recall.
think you did. So,
Okay.
to be fair for everybody, think of the evaluation for Pretzel because we already know her as
Okay.
3 days of daycare for $20 a piece.
Oh, got it.
Okay.
Okay, okay.
So like after your bundle, you can say, hey, I didn't get an evaluation. Can I do an evaluation? And she would get normal daycare, but essentially you're getting the same because they're getting 3 days of daycare for $60. So then for our clients, it's only fair that they get to do it because they
Oh,
don't
got it,
need
got
to
it.
do it because we know them. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So you can, and make sure you get that because it's a little discount there for you.
That's nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so while I have you, I've been getting more and more of like when she's at the dog park, the fencing dog park, when she is playing, I guess, with other dogs, like she is starting to bark a lot. Like this morning when she was at the park, she was barking incessantly.
At the
And
fence?
they were like, no, other dogs. There were like 3 other big dogs. They were all like 70, 80-pound dogs. She was the only small one. And she was just circling them. I mean, that's the hurting part of her, but she was constantly barking at them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, what do I do?
Yeah. So the problem is she's getting overstimulated.
Okay.
I think she barks here from time to time, but we correct her. But it's when she's with the puppies.
Okay.
From what I hear, like it's nothing incessant. You know, like dogs are gonna bark. It's like kids at the playground. They're gonna scream, right? If you feel like it's incessant, I mean, at the moment, correction wise, like the most you could probably do is like grab her and pop her on the gentle leader and like let her decompress for like a few minutes.
Okay.
And then let her go again. But she'll probably go back to barking. Once you start the e-collar process, either the problem will go away, or 2, now you can correct it at the press of a button. Because the problem is she's running. So then you got to go, you got to catch her, then you got to put the leash on her, and then you got to walk her out of there, right? So it's not a huge problem. It's just her getting overstimulated, frustrated because she wants the dogs to interact with her. Potentially part of her herding breed, like you said, especially if she's on the outside, kind of just maneuvering around in a circle.
Yeah, because the dogs weren't playing with her, and they were like,
yeah, she's just frustrated.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. She's like a little kid, with all the big kids playing. And like, hey, that's Pretzel.
I'm like, I don't want you to be this small yappy dog, trying to constantly get attention.
Yeah, no, that will be addressed. It's easier once you start the remote collar.
Okay.
And if she does that now, unless she's like pissing off a dog, which dogs don't really care about a dog barking at them like a human would. Like humans get annoyed, right?
Yeah.
Dogs don't really get annoyed with stuff like that, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I don't ignoring it for now is not going to be detrimental, in my opinion. Just keep an eye on it.
All right. No, I mean it's just helpful to know that it's also her being overstimulated.
Yeah. For sure.
That it isn't anything else. All right. That's all I have. Thank you so much, Jesse.
Yeah, for sure. And if you have any other questions, you just let us know. And then dietary, she's doing diet-wise, she's doing well.
I mean, I have compared to where she was, she is like as good as she can be now.
Okay.
I have, knock on wood, not had an episode of diarrhea in like the last 2 months, which is
beautiful,
amazing. Yeah, and so she's on. I don't know if Maddie told you, but she's on fecal restoration. I don't know if you've heard of it, but you do it. They do actually do it in humans. So like when somebody is really, really sick, because they don't have like the good bacteria in their gut, they actually take a healthy person's poop and put it in them to get the healthy bacteria. So that's exactly what she's doing now, except that that poop comes in the form of a pill.
Interesting.
So she is on because her poop analysis came back. It isn't all that bad in terms of like her gut microbiome. So the vet actually recommended 1 round of just fecal restoration, which is a month. So she gets a pill a day. And I think 4 weeks after she's done, we'll just do one more test to see if, she has all the healthy bacteria, and then we're probably done. And then from there, we can start, you know, try and error for her diet
Sure.
and see if she can, transition to raw, um, or something easier that's not, uh, that food that needs to be kept in the fridge for,
Right.
they can only stay in the fridge for like 3 days.
So really fresh. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought you might find that interesting. I found it super interesting.
I've heard of that years ago with on some weird TV show with humans. So I remember
Yeah.
that. And she's her first dog, right?
Yeah.
So she's just throwing you into this world of just like dog behavior and nutrition.
Oh yeah.
Good thing
Yeah.
she's small though.
I mean, yeah. If not, like she's already a black hole with how much money it's gone into her. So if she's a bigger dog and she needs a lot more food, yeah, like I probably would need to sell my clothes and shoes.
You need to make her an Instagram so she can be a influencer.
Earn her keep, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Earn her keep. But
Yeah, for sure.
well, if anything pops up, let us know. We're always happy
I
to
will.
help. Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
If you need anything else, just reach out. Okay.
Yep, I will. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Jesse. Have a good weekend. Oh no, it's a week.
Good holiday. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.